Welcome, everyone, to episode 26 of the Dual Boot Diaries, the weekly podcast where two longtime Windows users try to use Linux daily. I am one of your co-hosts, Adam Patrick Murray.
I'm your other co-host, Will Smith, and we are not Linux experts yet. But each week, we're going to go through our experiences of using Linux daily, with the whole show culminating in us deleting Windows or Linux from our computer and moving on with our lives.
Yeah. But we're not there yet, though. I will tell you what, last week we had a fun Q&A episode.
Yeah.
But that means that we have 2 weeks, count them, 2 weeks of stuff that we've been working on that we're going to talk about. So I say we just blaze right into it, except for, hold
With
on,
the
put
tangent.
the screeches.
No,
A little bit of a screech, because somebody episodes ago was getting kind of angry that it's called the Dual Boot Diaries, but we don't talk about Windows enough.
Yeah.
Well, I got a new Windows update.
How'd that go?
Not only on my home PC, but my laptop and stuff like that. That I was like, okay, this is weird. So they changed the start menu.
I saw your computer yesterday at the office, and I said, what the hell have they done to the start menu?
Yeah, because usually in Windows 11, the top ones are kind of pinned apps. Well, you got the search bar at the top, and then you got the pinned apps kind of thing, and then you've got the recommendations, or it depends. You can actually right click and change the different things that it'll show. It's like, show me more recommendations. I don't know why you would, or show me frequently used apps, things like that.
You got any of that Candy Crush you using Windows backup? What are you doing with your what kind of recommendations? You got anything good? You got you considered trying out League of Legends? I don't know, man. It's out there. You can just download it. It's free. Well,
luckily, I turned all that off. So usually what I do is it's just pinned apps, because that's all I care. I want to hit the button. I mean, most of the time I type in the app anyway. So really, actually, now that I think about it, I don't even really need pinned apps.
The only things I pinned are things that have 3 letters in common with another common piece of software. Like if I'm using a software called BlueBubbles, and Windows always opens the Bluetooth manager, I would pin BlueBubbles so it picks that one first. That's the only reason I would pin something.
Yeah. Okay. And regardless, after this update, or irregardless? Is it regardless?
No, irregardless is not a word.
It's irregardless. Irregardless of this update.
Oh, no.
The start menu is changed, because usually you would have to hit the all button to see all your apps.
Yeah.
But now the all is right there. By default, you just you hit the Windows key and the all button is there. That seems like a thumbs up, right?
Yeah.
But no, but by default, the view selection is category. So it's kind of like what iOS did, and like default to trying to categorize your apps. So yeah, I have like productivity, which has Chrome, Teams, Discord, Edge, Zoom.
Well, I mean, that works on iOS. I don't have my phone here, but that works on iOS because the apps are categorized in the store, right? So all the apps, the only place you can get apps is from the store. And those categories are assigned by the people who create the apps, who theoretically should know what category is an app. Productivity? I don't know. Sure. Slack seems like productivity, but maybe it's communication. I don't know where they put it. Why? What about the apps that don't come from the Microsoft store? How do they get categorized? Like, where does DaVinci Resolve live?
DaVinci is under creativity for me.
Okay. What about Premiere?
And then Premiere is under creativity as well.
Okay.
So, except for Audacity is under entertainment.
What about Hentai
creativity?
Golf? Where's that one? Hentai Golf?
What?
Hentai Golf?
I how do you know I have that on my computer?
It's just a hunch.
Get out of my computer. No. Actually, yeah. That's funny. I do have games under here, but I guess it would be an entertainment. Let me look.
Doesn't have Steam games in the games?
Steam is under entertainment. No, I usually don't pin the games to the start menu, like when I install a Steam app. Anyway, so that's annoying, but luckily that's just by default. So you can change the view from category to either grid or list, and then you hit the Windows button, and I literally just see the search bar at the top pinned at the next thing, and then all as a old school list, except for it's still taking up this much of space.
It's really big,
even though like I really need this much of space.
Do you have the phone connector thing installed or no? The mobile
phone link?
connection?
No, I do not.
Okay, because that's part of the start menu now too. It's like a little pimple hanging off the side.
Yeah. Anytime that shows up, I hit hide this pane, and then it takes me in there. And so, like I said, most of the stuff I have is hidden in terms of the start menu because I just want basic kind of stuff. But
I like to hide my pane too, Adam.
So yeah, so it's kind of classic Microsoft where it's like one step forward, two steps back. Like that's cool. Now you can get the all applications right there at the hit of the button, but by default it's in category squares rather than list.
It's kind of like an abusive relationship, right? Because it's like, hey, you want all? We'll give you all, you B words, but you're gonna take some other garbage with it. You know, it's bad.
You know, I actually kind of liked Windows 8.1.
I was gonna say, what was the last good Windows start menu? I think it was maybe 7 for me.
Well, I mean, I got to a good place in 10, but I kind of liked the tiles metaphor for the start menu. So if I remember correctly, and maybe I have this wrong, you would hit start, you would get the list, you know, sure, you'd have the search bar or whatever and a couple quick settings, but you'd get the list of apps off to the side. And then to the right of it, you could pin live tiles. I mean, or you could just delete all of them and not have anything. But there were some live tiles that I would just like let sit there.
I don't think anything about Windows 8 was good, Adam.
It was 8.1.
I don't think anything about Windows 8 anything was good.
Live tiles, man. You get information right there in the tile. Come on.
Look, the moment they let you press the start button on your keyboard and then type the name of the thing you launched was magical. That was great. I love that. And then when they started occasionally making that not work the way you would expect and opening search results for no reason other than to boost Bing numbers, that was the beginning. That should have been the first warning sign that we were all going to end up being Linux weirdos at some point in the future. And here we are. Welcome to the Dual Boot Diaries.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to bring that up. It's a major change in Windows 11. I actually don't even know. I don't think it was 26H1.
No, this is still 25H2 plus. I'm sure.
See, actually,
unless you're on an insider track.
I was on an insider track on one of my handhelds. I'll do WinVer. Duh. I'm in 25H2. Yep.
Yeah.
So this is build 262007840.
Maybe updating the software midway through the course is a mistake, it turns out. You know?
No, I would rather have them course correct. Like this is, once again, the default was stupid, but the change was good.
Okay.
In my mind.
Okay, fair.
But then again, I guess the other thing I need to do is go back to a fresh Windows install and see what it looks like. Because once again, I've kind of unjunked my start menu by default. So I do wonder what the fresh default looks like. Anyway, irregardless of that.
Dope, not a word. Please send your emails to adam@pcworld.com.
I'm not a words guy.
That's adam@pcworld.com if you have complaints about his making up bad words. I have been connecting my phone to my computer in new and innovative ways this week.
I mean, you have been going hot and heavy on this to the point where after last week's episode when we talked about BlueBubbles, which spoiler, that's what you're talking about here.
Well,
we were in the office and you were like, "Hey, I need to go to the bowels of the building and dig out a really old Mac Mini." And our facilities guy was like, "Join me. Let's go. Let's go spelunking.
Yeah.
Let's go tech spelunking."
So we went down 2 flights of stairs and changed. Like, your building has a weird half floor between 4 and 5 that I don't know if we need to talk about, but it's very like Malkovich. Yeah,
secret.
It's where
you can only get to it from a specific elevator. Too.
Yeah, or the stairs. So we went down there.
In the stairs, real quick. Sorry, those are emergency stairs. So you can get in there, but you can't get out.
Oh, good to know. So I went with the facilities manager down there, and we dug through the remnants of old people's computers who used to work at the company and don't anymore. And he was like, "Hey, here's a Mac Mini. You can have this to test this with if you would like." And I said, "Thank you." And because one of the ongoing problems for me as an iOS user using non-Apple platforms is that I don't get text messages on my computer, and most of the people who send me text messages, namely my wife and child, expect me to see them when they send them. And if I'm sitting for my computer for 8 or 10 hours a day, I'm not going to see them because I'm like, my phone's not even in the room with me right now. I don't know where it is. I'm not wearing a watch, don't have a phone. I'm off the grid.
Off the grid, man.
Yeah.
Off the grid living.
Except there's this piece of software called BlueBubbles. And there's been a bunch of ways that people have kind of hacked around this. Some services. There was this thing called Beeper for a while that Apple sued and made them stop providing like an iMessage relay to Windows and Linux users. But BlueBubbles is an open source project that basically runs a client on a Mac or a Mac VM or any number. There's a bunch of places you can do it. The easiest thing to do is to get an old Mac that runs a relatively current version of Mac OS and put this piece of software on there, turn off a bunch of the security stuff that keeps applications from interacting with each other inside the sandbox so that it can tie in directly to iMessages on the Mac. And then you set up a Google Firebase account that basically lets you serve as a notification relay. So it's basically an always-on service that like the server can ping, and then that pings the clients, and it you don't have to worry about how it works. It's like 3 steps. So you follow some instructions, and it works.
Wait, so real quick, this is a mix of you having dedicated hardware, but then also there's still stuff that goes through their servers?
Yeah, because the way notifications work on phones these days, there's not like it's the phones don't constantly check the internet for new messages or something because there's 2 things that the Firebase thing does. One is it serves as like a dynamic DHCP relay, so that if your ISP gives you a new IP address, your clients outside the network know where to look for the BlueBubbles server.
Okay.
The other thing is it pops the notification for people when a new message comes in, so you get it in a timely manner rather than just polling it constantly and running your battery down on your laptop or whatever.
So is that encrypted? Like is this a subscription that you have to use for their using their services? Like,
yeah.
If this is open source, I mean, it sounds like they're hosting something somewhere. Somebody's paying for that.
So you're hosting the server and all the heavy work on the Mac Mini in my case, or old MacBook or whatever.
And you think the Firebase stuff is not heavy lift?
The Firebase stuff is really light lift. Google provides free versions of that for like testing and app development. You have to give them a credit card, which they'll charge like $1 or $2 to make sure you're a legitimate user. But they don't. There's no ongoing cost because the API limits for this are like the pricing for that stuff is designed for people who are building applications that thousands of people hit, not one person hitting. Right. Okay. So you live under the API. The test limits for this basically is the kind of TLDR. It's a little bit of a security concern because you are going from an end-to-end encrypted messaging system, and this is punching a hole in that end-to-end encryption to send those messages across, to your Windows and Linux clients and Android clients, presumably. I kind of don't care because the kind of stuff I talk about in iMessage is mostly about groceries, and if I'm talking about something that I really want to stay encrypted, I use Signal for that. And the people I talk to about stuff that I want to keep encrypted know to use Signal or one of the other EDE encrypted tool sets. It works really well, like shockingly well, I would say.
So is it just RCS or is it also SMS?
It does not do. Let's see. Does it do RCS and SMS? I don't know. I haven't gotten an RCS or an SMS messages.
Well, because I thought essentially what Apple is using is RCS.
No, iMessage is its own thing. They also support RCS. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. iMessage is like a superset of everything, right?
Okay. Well, actually, I think I text you with RCS.
The internet. Yeah, you can text me right now. We can live test this.
Well, but I thought okay, yeah, because I'm on Android. I'm somebody who has the spirit of the Dual Boot Diaries and run Android. Just kidding. No, I'm not going to say Android is. There we go. I just got a message from you. It said yo, and it's a dark blue bubble on my end, which means it's encrypted.
RCS. Did you see my
RCS?
thumbs up?
I'm sorry.
Oh,
you put a thumbs up on your own message, and I saw that right, and then I just messaged you back.
Yeah, you said what's up, and then I ha-ha'd that.
Oh, that's weird. I didn't get read receipts though. I don't know if you turned that off on your end. Or?
I don't believe in read receipts.
Okay, got it. Okay, but you laughed at it. So okay, so RCS seems to work through it then.
Yeah, so RCS works. Good job. I think there's some group chat limitations still. I can do iMessage group chats, but I think RCS group chats maybe don't work. I don't know. There's some weird edges. A lot of the support for this depends on the version of Mac OS that you're running on the thing that's running the BlueBubbles server. And then, of course, you have to run a BlueBubbles client on each of the machines that you want to use. So it's not like hooking into an existing messaging platform. It's its own thing that looks essentially like iMessage on a Mac.
Can you do it through a web portal, or do you have to use a?
There is a web portal option. I did not set that up because I don't want a web portal.
Oh, okay.
Specifically. So I'm running on a 2018 era Intel Mac Mini, which when I looked at eBay, they were like $200 used. It's one version of Mac OS back. It doesn't support Tahoe, which came out last September. It supports Sequoia, which came out in September of 2024. But that's anything after Ventura gets full modern iMessage support. And then you can also do things like the tapbacks and custom tapbacks and stuff like that. I just got your SMS message too.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just turned off RCS with our chat. So yeah, you do get SMS then.
Weirdly, that's in a different. So this is one of the problems I've had. That's in a different. Like now I have two entries for Adam Patrick Murray. One that says this is SMS, and one that says that has
our
the
last chat,
the RCS chat,
our normal chat.
Yeah, so like it's a little hinky on some stuff, but generally,
I mean, at least you got it.
Really positive, and like I'm not missing text messages anymore, which is great. So now I've added a third OS to the mix, which I don't know how I feel about. So it's Dual Boot Diaries, I guess now.
Wait, is this technically a home lab?
This is going to end up in the home lab. Right now it's sitting on my desk just for ease of access. But the next phase for me...
And it has to be a Mac because it has to do the handoff with the Mac.
You can run a Mac in a VM in a way that does it. That seems fiddly to the point that I didn't want to bother with it for this first wave before I saw if it was worth messing with. Partly because I had easy access to old Mac hardware, right? But I mean, the next step is seeing if I can get it running in a VM that will make sense. I don't know. Like I looked at idle, this machine's pulling about the same wattage as my B-Link home server, so it's like 5 to 10 watts. So it's not super expensive.
Yeah, but you just doubled your wattage.
Yeah, I'm still way
just
under.
To run an extra service.
Yeah, but it's an important service that my wife likes. That's the thing to remember.
Go.
Yeah. So yeah, I got that going for me. I'm like I said, if I did a lot of sensitive text messaging, I probably wouldn't do this. Like if I was a reporter covering politics or something, I would keep my iMessage locked down pretty hard. But the way I use iMessage, it feels fine to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I do wonder, I mean, anytime I've talked with people who live outside the US, they're like, what is this SMS? What you use?
Who uses SMS
text
still?
message thing?
Yeah.
Or, like almost everyone that I know personally who like lives in like Germany or Taiwan is like, oh, we use WhatsApp or, like even Facebook Messenger. Like almost nobody overseas seems to use a normal chat client, which is weird, but whatever.
So the WhatsApp usage seems to be going down from what I can tell. I think because of people's reticence to participate in the Meta ecosystem, but yeah. Anyway, let's see. I'm working on a MicroStarter video that as soon as we hang up here, I'm going to go back to working on that.
Well, the embargo's up, so
the embargo's up. We can talk about what it is.
Resident Evil Requiem, like 9, I think is the number.
Who knows? It's impossible to say what number it is. It has a tall person. It has multiple tall people. It's very freaking scary. I don't like scary games. I've had to play this awful scary game a ton. We're doing the MicroStarter side in Windows just because doing it in Linux is on a pre-release game is kind of fraught. So maybe we'll revisit it for Linux at some point in the future.
Well, to be fair, the vast majority of PC gamers are still on Windows at this point. Yeah. And so we want to target the mass representation, which is why we do that.
Yeah. But I was going to try to do the captures in Windows and then switch to Linux for the edits with Resolve. I was using the way the process for it is I capture data using a Procmon based tool called FrameView, which is an NVIDIA fork of Intel's Procmon tool. that data is a big giant CSV with individual times for each frame, like the time it takes to render and present a frame onto the monitor. And then you plot that against the time. You do like a line plot in Excel or your spreadsheet of choice, and I export those as SVGs. And then I can take the SVGs, bring them into the video editor, and I separate the layers of the SVG so that the background is one layer, and the frame, the axes that indicate scale and time and all that stuff are one layer, and then the actual line is another layer. And then I uncrop the time, the frame times synced up with where the frame timing started in the video. All pretty straightforward.
Which, if you want to go see this video, by the time this is live, it'll be up on PCWorld's YouTube channel. Yeah.
I'm still getting resolve crashes on Linux when I manipulate stuff in the timeline, so I gotta like do some debugging there. I don't know exactly what's causing that. My guess is it's probably a combination of the fact that I'm running a non-standard desktop manager where it expects you to run like KDE Plasma or something like that. So I may actually end up installing Plasma and switching back and forth between Plasma and Neri based on whether I want to do video editing or something. But
have you tried Kden Live?
I don't know what that
is. It's a open source video editor that people always yell at me about. There's a couple of them out there that I'm sure are fine. But
so I did actually try the Blender video editor a few weeks ago. I didn't try it for this project just because there was an embargo and I was trying to get it done as quickly as possible, and I didn't want to have to learn something new in that time frame.
Why does Blender have a video? I thought that was a 3D animation tool.
So Blender has a video editor because when they started making Flow, like Blender's whole thing is that when they do a release, they make a new piece of content to dog food the new features that come out in that release. And a few years ago, they realized if they wanted to actually do this all in open source, that they needed a real video editor in order to do that. And they built a nonlinear video editor that's just one of the other subtools of Blender now.
So you still have to download Blender proper to
it's just
get
part
access
of Blender,
to this.
yeah.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, that's kind of like DaVinci. DaVinci was just color grading software, and then they added tools onto it. So I'm not against that. But I mean, Blender is for people who do 3D animation.
Blender's for animation and modeling. Yeah, is the original use case. But I mean, so like Flow, that movie about the cat that won the Oscar a couple years ago, was made entirely in Blender, right?
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
They shot and edited, rendered, all of that stuff. All of that happened in Blender. And I'm sure there was a little bit of post work and other things, but maybe not, actually. I don't know. So anyway, Resolve is still crashing. I'm doing it in Windows. I am using Inkscape instead of Illustrator. Previously, I used Illustrator to do the vector work, and this time I used Inkscape. And Inkscape is an incredible piece of software. Really, really good vector tool. I use it a lot with the laser because it has good tools to like turn fonts into glyphs and then do cutouts so you can like stencilize a font or whatever, stuff like that. It's quite good though.
Are you using this in Linux?
No, I didn't want to
Windows?
boot back and forth, but it's the same flow as I would in Linux. Like as soon as I get Resolve working, basically, what I'm saying is I can do the capturing in Windows, and then switch over to Linux to do the actual work, which is nice.
Oh, that's cool. So it's open source. Is it free?
Open source, free. The usual thing.
Wow, nice.
Really incredibly powerful. I think in terms of like UI jank, it's better than say GIMP, but not as good as Blender or DaVinci or one of the other, it's somewhere in that gap.
Cool.
I realized that my tray indicators for Slack and Discord and I think Signal weren't showing in Neri the other day. So like Neri has a little waybar like tray that runs across the top of the screen, or I guess wherever you choose to put it. And sometimes they were there and sometimes they weren't.
What do you mean there? Like, is there a little graphical icon of the application?
It's just
when
like the
it's
system
open?
tray in Windows, right? Like when Discord and Slack and Notion and BlueBubbles and OBS are open, there's little icons there that indicate that something's going on. And like OBS has a little red status indicator to indicate that either it's recording or my virtual camera's on or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. Now, I was only seeing them sometimes and I couldn't figure out why. And then I did a couple of reboots to kind of suss it out. And what was happening was On the first launch with the OS, they weren't showing up. But if I closed them and reopened them, then they were. And at first I thought this was a problem. I had installed previously this tool called libapp indicator, which is one of the things that like ports, basically it ports the tray icon APIs from GTK or Qt or one of the other different, window toolkit dealies. And that, like I said, that's what we get them there in the first place. But then I couldn't figure out why they were there sometimes and not there other times. And it turns out what was happening was the apps were launching before Noctalia Shell had fully started the bar. So,
because you have it set to auto open.
Yeah, because I have it set to auto open on launch. And what was happening was the bar was taking a second longer to load than the apps were taking. So there was no place for those app icons to go until after they were already launched, basically. So then I got to learn about I don't even know what they're called. They're like the modifiers. It's like the pipe or the little arrows. Like you use the pipe to say first run this, then give the output of this to that, and it'll on the terminal it'll do a thing. Because like the way you launch things, one of the ways you can launch things in Near, you can do it a bunch of ways, of course, because it's Linux. But the way I usually do stuff is you can do spawn at startup as a command in your Near config file, and then run just the command line name of the piece of software, so Signal or Slack or Discord or whatever. And I was running those in the file. They were near the top of the file, so that means they were processed early, and then the spawn for the shell was later. So what I did was I moved them to the bottom first, and that was still not enough time to solve the problem. Yeah.
Huh.
So then I was like, oh, well, I could just use the Linux sleep command and sleep like 10 seconds, and then they'll all launch 10 seconds after this. And I couldn't get it to work. I couldn't, it was just nothing was happening.
For any of the apps?
For any of them.
You did that? Oh,
yeah.
Okay, that's weird.
So what ended up happening was I had to put quotes, and I had to use the spawn sh, which is spawn shell at startup, spawn sh at startup with hyphens between all the words, and then put double quotes and sleep space the time that I wanted to sleep, and then ampersand, and then the app name. And that was enough to do it, which is weird. I don't know why. I don't exactly understand why. I tried to, I could also do it with spawn at startup and then putting each word in quotes. That also worked for some reason, but it was harder to type in, so I'm going with the spawn sh. The spawn sh is theoretically, I think, launching a shell command. So I guess there's an extra fish session running somewhere in the background in addition to the Discord that's like the parent for the Discord and the Slack and whatever I'm launching there. But it seems to be working, and it's fine. And I'm okay with that. The other thing worth mentioning, Signal launches, but I can't get it to show up in the tray no matter what I do. So it's the thing I use the least, so it's probably okay. But anyway, it was interesting knowing that the ampersand means wait until this one finishes and then run the next thing. It doesn't like whereas the pipe takes the output from one thing and puts it into the next thing. This is just saying, let this one run. When it closes, then run the next one, which is pretty good. Also useful is the right caret, the greater than sign, I guess, because that lets you send the output into a text file, right? So you can say, you can run dmesg, which gives you a list of log stuff, and instead of having to scroll through that in the terminal, you can output that to log1.txt, and it'll put that in your home folder, which is super useful if you're trying to troubleshoot stuff in logs. Anyway, I don't know what those things are called, like the pipe and the greater than sign and the ampersand. I'd be curious. I'd love.
If there's a name for those modifiers,
because I was looking are they concatenators? They're not exactly. They're like command line joiners, and they all have slightly different rules about how they're used. So anyway. I would love to know what the collective noun for those is.
Nice.
And then let's see, Stream Machine update. Everything seems good. Done 4 or 5 streams. No crashes. Video looks great. I'm running the Twitch enhanced broadcasting on the RX 9600. I've done some AV1 streaming HEVC streaming. It's wild. It's working really well.
Wait.
But
So, yeah. There's a but.
No, go ahead. Ask your question, then I'll tell you the but.
Well, because this current run of goodness with your stream machine is because you switched from the NVIDIA card to the AMD card.
Yeah. We talked about that. We talked about that not last week, but the week before.
Yeah. Well, but now I'm also wondering too, like maybe that CPU actually wasn't dead.
No, the CPU
just
was
curious.
it was absolutely because when I switched the CPU, the crashing stopped, but I still had occasional errors in the OBS crashing.
Okay.
So like system crashing went away, but OBS still crashed, which I think is NVEnc stuff. The but is that after I did that video card switch, the next time I tried to boot it, KDE Launcher just wouldn't come up, which is partly a cache thing. Cache switched from SDDM to KDE Launcher for KDE desktops a few big updates ago, like the January update, I think. Mm-hmm. I looked at it, and so basically what was happening was we'd do the boot manager, you hit the boot manager, it would start up the OS, like show you the cache logo, and then the boot manager just never came up, so there's never a login screen. And of course, I found this out as I was starting a stream one night. I ended up just rolling back to I kept going back one snapshot at a time until I got to one that worked, and then just did the update again, and that solved the problem. So mission accomplished.
Oh,
Snapshots are working. That's the
TLDR
there
you go.
There.
Yeah.
I honestly don't have any idea why that happened. My guess is that I did an update and then I did another update when I was supposed to reboot in between or something goofy, but fixing it, rolling back and then running the updates again and then rebooting, it was fine. So this is why you use Snapper, I guess, is the TLDR.
So do you feel like your stream machine is where you want it to be?
I want to do a few more streams. It feels pretty good. Like the performance is really good. I have audio coming in from Discord on the second machine, like in its own feed, so I can adjust levels of feed and game and my voice independently, which is always really nice. It's feeling pretty good, and it's like I got cooler control running on it, so the fans are running at a normal speed. Like it's feeling pretty good.
And remind me, which GPU did we put in there?
A 9600 non-XT, I think. I think I put the smallest, cheapest GPU that we had on the shelf that had the modern video encoder.
Okay, so that thing's not using more than I think it was 150 watts.
Yeah,
maybe 140 somewhere. Yeah,
it's one.
So you're not. Yeah, you're not using more power than you need to. It's fairly power efficient, I would assume.
Well, and one of the things that was interesting that came out of this that I can't remember who told me, but somebody in the Discord mentioned that AMD doesn't segment video encoders as in the same way that NVIDIA does. NVIDIA is like, oh yeah, you get 2 video encoders on this one, you get 1 video encoder on this one, blah blah blah. The AMD one just lets you do as much as it can, and then when it stops, it falls over to CPU or something. It seems like.
Yeah, we got a lot of messages about that.
Yeah. So.
Which is cool. I mean, hey, again, once again, another win for AMD on Linux, right?
The experience is really good. And again, shout out to Cashy for the good how to change your GPU drivers install, because I've now done it twice, and that page was helpful both times.
Cool.
So that's that. Let's see. The last big thing is my laptop ran out of battery one day because I didn't use it for 6 days. Because we didn't go into the office last week when we did the podcast remotely, so I didn't ever plug it in, and that left the MediaTek Wi-Fi 7 card in that laptop in a weird zombie state where it wouldn't initialize, and Linux, an LS PCI saw it, but Linux, the shell, the Wi-Fi utilities didn't see the Wi-Fi card. Nothing saw the Wi-Fi card. The only way I could fix it, and it took me a long time to figure this out, was to completely power the machine down by holding down the power button for 30 seconds. And then turning it back on, it came back up. So it's apparently an issue specifically with both Windows and Linux and MediaTek Wi-Fi, newer MediaTek cards. And it tends to happen when you let the battery run down on your laptop, is the TLDR.
But this is a framework. Was there documentation on the framework website? I feel like framework is so tapped into Linux usage that.
So the place I found the solution was either the framework subreddit or the framework forums on their website said exactly how to do the power down and fix. But it was I got there by searching for the model number of the MediaTek card, funnily enough. It's like a 9675 or something like that. And also it reinforced again that I got to figure out why Hibernate isn't working on that laptop, because ultimately what should have happened is that when the battery got to like 20%, it should have just gone to Hibernate rather than like run the battery all the way down. So.
Right. Yeah. That was going to be my next question. It's like, why did it run the like, sure, 6 days, whatever. But for the most part, if it's configured correctly, you shouldn't
it's the S2
drain
idle
the battery
thing.
like that.
Like it's draining. It drains like 5% a day or something like that, 10% a day. And I probably used it some off and on during that week, just not plugged in. Because like often I'll be sitting in my chair in the living room if I want to do something, jam out an email real quick or something. The laptop's sitting beside me. I grab it out and
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird.
So that's that. I'm still getting the Arc Raiders getting chonky at the end of a long session. I need to figure out why my brother printer isn't working.
Real quick, let's go back to the Arc Raiders thing.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people saying that there is some sort of memory leak.
I'm not seeing evidence of that.
You're not seeing any
I
evidence.
loaded up Mission Center, and was looking at both VRAM usage and system memory usage, and I was not getting, unless there's limits put on the processes by like the Steam GameScope stuff, which is possible. I wasn't seeing. I'm not seeing anything approaching full memory either in system or VRAM.
Are you running Arc Raiders with any sort of overlay, like metric overlay thing?
So, yeah.
So I don't think they have anything built in. Oh no, or do they have
Steam
performance
has,
metrics? No, built into Arc Raiders. I mean,
I have the Arc Raiders. Like minimal or meet. It's not just frame rate. It's the next one up from that. It's like one level up from the just frame rate. So it tells me what VRAM usage and clock speeds and stuff are. I think.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to look and see.
Because I'm wondering if maybe you measure it somewhere else, you would see something different. Or
that's possible.
Yeah. Also, I can't imagine that their built-in tool would be causing any issues.
No, I don't think it would be the built-in tool. I think I think my guess is it's some interaction between the GameScope stuff and the game and the OS. I think my next thing is to probably go. It's been a while since I ran it on the default settings. The what Steam says you should do. So I think I'm going to try that next probably and run take out all the GameScope stuff that I added to make it not crash during level loads, because I also have heard, people have told me that they fixed that problem, that problem has been fixed, whether they fixed it or Steam fixed it or Valve fixed it or whatever. I don't know.
Interesting. Huh.
Yeah. So that's kind of it. That like that's my big stuff for the last couple of weeks. I still occasionally get the laggy OBS camera, virtual camera, and I don't know what's causing that. That's really bizarre and weird to me, but. Yeah, that's what I got.
I have a couple things to catch up on from the last episode. One of them being that I talked about running an old Photoshop version in Codeweavers. I got some people saying that they were able to do that, and there's actually other ways to do it that people are reporting work for them. And there was kind of a difference in people like having version numbering, that it's like, oh, I was able to get it to work up through Creative Cloud, whatever. I don't have the numbers in front of me. So it sounds like there's some success out there, and I'm excited to try. I think the biggest thing I'm stuck on though right now is like where to get Photoshop. Not saying I want to give Adobe money. Not saying I want to sail the high seas.
Adobe money.
Yeah. Well, but yeah, the TOCs do not include older versions of Photoshop.
You used to be able to download several back. I don't know if you could download as far back as you need to go.
Nope. In Creative Cloud, every once in a while, because you can go in and say install older versions.
Yeah.
They usually wipe stuff that's past a couple versions ago. We ran into this. I think it was a Premiere. We had a Premiere project that we needed to go back to get B-roll of, or there was some sort of edit in there that we wanted to fix, and it was not, that version of Premiere was just at the cutoff of what was inside the Creative Cloud app. And yeah, I Googled it, and people were just like livid. They were like, wow, I can't go back legally to this version that used to be there. What the hell? Why are you taking that? So, whatever. It's a side note. Once again, I'm not. I don't know. I guess I don't sail the high seas enough that I'm scared to grab some sort of version of Photoshop and run it on Linux specifically.
It's like one level of high seas further. Like, I mean, we all know.
Yeah, right.
Like I have BitTorrent installed, of course, to download my Linux distros, as we all do, I think. But yeah, no, I don't sail the high seas either, Adam. So I don't know what to tell you here, buddy.
Yeah, so like I'm kind of stuck because I'm like, oh, I want to try this out, but yeah. Anyway, so maybe if anyone has any suggestions. Oh, actually, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe. Also, speaking of your Resident Evil stuff, I actually got a pre-release code. It was provided by NVIDIA.
Thanks, NVIDIA.
Both of our codes. Yeah. And I have been playing it as well. Like you were covering it for legit video purposes. I was playing it just to see
this number, covering my eyes. This game is too scary. I don't like this.
And I was like, it's not that scary, dog. I'm a horror guy.
Look,
so,
you go into a room and all of a sudden the lights flicker a few times and then they go out and then your flashlight doesn't work and you're like, oh God, it's just all this red light everywhere. Now the music's getting creepy, and it's like it wants you to open the door. I'm like, man, I don't want to open this door because something bad's going to be on the other side of it. And then you open the door, and guess what? Nothing there. But then you turn around, there's something bad right behind you. It's terrible.
Yeah, that's the fun of it, man.
No,
gets your heart rate going.
I can't take like my heart rate goes. I could die. I need to keep an even keel, man.
No, let's see. What you do though is, like my wife and I, we just watch so much horror stuff or play so many horror games that we're just desensitized to it. So you just got to push through it. You know,
I was sitting here in my dark office with my headphones on. It was all quiet, and I was like, I'm gonna record some footage. Here we go. Honey, I need my new pants. Bring me some new pants, please.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, I had loaded up on my home theater PC, which is a 7800 X3D with a 9070 XT. So really
nice
high-end hardware. Yeah. I loaded up on a couple of my handhelds, and that thing is like performant, like holy, goodness. I don't know what it is on the Windows side, or what you're going to see in the video. You're going to have to go watch the video for Will's findings. But on the Linux side, I was just like, dang, this, like, I'm cranking everything all the way to the max, and even at 4K max settings, I could run it with no upscaling at all, or frame gen, anything like that. And I was getting like easily over 90 FPS, like a native 4K. And I was like, geez. And then on the handheld, like the Steam Deck, I could run it like it was one step up from low. I don't remember their naming because the naming of Universal stuff is always different. But I was able to run it higher than the lowest setting and even not use upscaling there. And I don't remember what I was hitting frame rate wise, but it was playable. Like I think I was hitting 60 maybe, something like that.
On the Steam Deck, or
on the Steam Deck
handhelds?
On the Steam Deck.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And I was just like, man, this thing is so performant. And I've been waiting for the Digital Foundry video to come out to explain stuff, but I was like, but I know the RE it's the RE engine? No. They have a name for their engine that they use.
The scare monster, man. Yeah. I don't know.
But it's an in-house engine, and it does support ray tracing. And I guess I assumed that the ray tracing features were just baked into whatever settings. Like essentially, if you look at shadow quality, like they're not surfacing the fact that it's RT, but maybe if you go to the max, they're enabling RT.
Yeah, you know what assuming does, Adam.
I know, yeah. Either way, I was just like, man, this thing is just like so performant. This is awesome. And then I saw, what was it? I think I saw a screen cap of your Windows thing. Is that what you showed me?
Did I send you my controls? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah. Because you were troubleshooting something on your end, and there was a toggle in the menu for RT on and off. And I was like, wait, I don't have that in Linux.
I have a path tracing toggle too.
Oh, really?
Like you can turn it all the way up to full path traced. Yeah.
Okay. And then you had mentioned, you're like, oh, maybe it's running in that Steam Deck mode. And once again, like it's that thing where I was just like, oh, I hate that. If you don't know that you need to turn, Steam Deck = 0 command in there, it's frustrating. But I did Steam Deck = 0 and it didn't surface. So, I mean, I guess I didn't try a different Proton version, but I don't know why that would matter either. So, like, what
is it? Steam Deck is Steam Deck equals 0 actually the command? I realize as I'm talking about this.
No, it is Steam Deck equals 0 with camel case S and D, and then command percentage to run the command. So yes, I did that on my desktop, and still no RT toggles or anything. And I was just like, I guess I haven't experienced that before, where I did not see RT toggles in any of my Linux gaming options.
That's weird. So I tested it on my desktop machine, which is a 5090, and I wasn't going to bring this up because it feels weird to talk about Linux problems in pre-release games, but like I was having all sorts of visual corruption, and I also didn't have the ray tracing options in the Linux version
in Cache.
Cache, yeah.
But it was in Windows, so why? Like, I guess it's a different install.
Well, so
because that happens,
we talked
right?
About before, right? Like they because the Steam Deck is the bulk of, or Steam Deck and Steam Deck like handhelds are a giant chunk of the Linux gaming market right now. Often, AAA games will have a different, like a subset of the options that they give you on a full Windows computer, just so that you get down to a place that your people have a good experience with the Steam Deck.
But usually that can be turned off with usually that's a flag, right?
Yeah.
So like I mean, whatever. The game is beautiful. It's performant. Like I've been loving it regardless.
It looks good even in the raster mode. Kind of, it's kind of amazing. Although the reflections,
it really does.
This is one of those ones. You see a lot of reflections of your character in the haunted house sequences. When you have ray tracing on, that look freaking unbelievable. I think this is the game that people recommended you play Leon in third person, and I can't remember the girl's name.
Claire, no, not Claire. Grace.
Grace in first person, is that right?
Well, by default it's like that.
Okay.
No. By default it's like that. And yeah, the developers are like, this is our intended thing, but you can switch it up.
Yeah. But it's when you catch hints of reflections when you're playing as Grace, especially, you're often in like dark, moody, really scary places, at least so far. And you'll be walking along, you'll catch a reflection, and then you'll see something behind you in the reflection, and like that kind of stuff you can't get in the raster version. Or if you do, then it's through a series of hacks, and you're not getting like the real lighting and stuff.
I mean, the thing is, like that sucks. Like if there's and maybe there's a way to enable that feature that I just don't know of.
Well, but on the handheld,
on Linux,
on the desktop, on the home theater PC, you should be able to turn it on.
Well, I mean, but at least give me the option. Give me the toggle, right? I'm not saying I'm not even saying I want to use it necessarily. It's just like that sucks that because we're trying to play in Linux, we don't get that option at all. At least as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Like. I mean, what I'm guessing is what you're telling me is that the game is they're uploading two separate versions of the game.
No. They're rounding off the corners with a command line flag. So basically, they're saying if it detects that it's running on Linux, then it assumes it's a Steam Deck, and if it assumes it's a Steam Deck, we're just gonna set these UI options for the things that the Steam Deck can't do, and turn them off. But you have resolution controls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, as far as I can tell, actually, I downloaded it on my desktop here. I should fire it up again in like 1-to-1 each control. But when I looked really quickly, I think like all the controls are there except for those toggles for ray tracing. So yeah, like if Steam Deck equals 0 isn't the command, hopefully I'm hoping something gets like noticed out there that it's like, oh, if you want to enable the full feature set, it's just either way, like that sucks. This is the thing that I was talking about earlier, where it's like, if you don't know that you're missing out on something, you just assume that that's the default, and it sucks that they're giving us like defaults, like whether it's the Steam Deck flag, which I totally get, or this one, which is not the Steam Deck flag. Maybe it's some sort of other flag or something. But like you said, there are games though that have different like isn't Arc Raiders? Don't they have a separate download for Windows versus? I thought there were.
Yeah, the anti-cheat that you get is a slightly different version.
Oh, okay.
So the way that works on Steam is that there's these things called depots, and basically, Like you'll say, when you set up your game in Steam, you say, okay, this is the Linux depot, this is the Mac depot, this is the Windows depot. And what that means is it gives you different executables and maybe like different like dependency applications that you install. Like you might install the Microsoft Visual C++ stuff on Windows, and you might install something else on Mac or Linux. But yeah, I don't think they're actually shipping different versions on the Steam Deck. My guess is that they're shipping some sort of flag that says, okay, do this. And that stuff's relatively easy to fix. So I don't think the game's actually out yet. Is it
I can't remember when it actually comes out, but the embargo,
tomorrow.
the review embargoes are up.
But it's there's no entries in ProtonDB for it yet. Like the thing that I find is that typically for a game that a lot of people are playing, there's usually reports of what's working and what isn't, what versions of Proton to use and stuff like that, and the ProtonDB almost immediately after release.
Yeah.
So.
Well, sorry, I'm like, I know I keep harping on this, and I'm sure there are people who are going to be like, Adam, you know, you could easily just fix this by this or that. I was actually having a conversation again about the FSR4 stuff because, you know, I was like, man, I really wish I could solve this thing, and it's like, I understand why they do the Steam Deck thing, because they're trying to give you the best possible experience, you know, and just have a more console-like experience, which is good because it'll get more people into PC gaming and like worried about, oh man, am I gonna mess something up configuration-wise? But like that in my mind, that's still too far. Like you should make stuff easier for people to use, like especially when the Steam machine comes out, all that kind of stuff. I want it to work just like a console, yes, but if I want to go in deeper, at least give me options that are easier to use. So even if like yes, putting in the Steam Deck equals 0 thing is easy, but like a normal person isn't going to do that. A normal person, it's better to have it built into the game, like Cyberpunk. You see, oh, hey, one of the configuration toggles is literally called Steam Deck.
It's a lot of work, though. Like just to be clear, it's a lot of work. And I mean, I think I'm always glad when people are supporting the Steam Deck. I think that you're in the blast radius for that. And realistically, the way to get the experience you want in your living room is to just stream it from your Windows PC in the office to the living room, right?
Well, but here's the other thing. Like, I feel like, and we talk about this on Full Nerd all the time too, because we focus on you know, desktop PC stuff, is that there is a stigma for normies into PC gaming, regardless of it's Windows or Linux or whatever. There's definitely a stigma. People are scared about building their own, or, oh man, like what if it breaks? There's so many things I need to update, things like that. And so, like, yes, there needs to be ways to polish off the edges. The Steam Deck it has made great strides on that, and I really appreciate it. But it's not always implemented in the same way across the board. And like I guess
progress is lumpy.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's just like, man, it shouldn't be this hard, because I want people to number one, benefit from the joys of PC gaming. Number two, benefit from the joys of Linux, right?
I think this is one of those things that's going to kind of change over time too, right? Like, because this solution works right now with just the Steam Deck on the market. When the Steam machine's on the market, it's not going to be an acceptable situation, because like sometimes the Steam Deck flag locks resolution behind that window. And if you're talking about somebody who's, you know, running on a 4K TV and the game defaults to 1280 by 800, that's going to be a bad time for everyone involved.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't like, look, it's early days still in a lot of ways. So I think that's where we're at.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah.
I can move on from that. So we joked recently. Well, actually, you know what? Before I get to that, I'm going to go to the audio thing.
Okay.
Because I think you have some stuff to talk about audio as well. I love audio. So yeah, I wanted to kind of circle back to this stuff. So if people remember correctly, on my home theater PC, which is running Fedora. No, I'm running Big CD over there. Sorry. Bazite, yeah. So I'm running Bazite, the home theater PC, download, all that, whatever. And I'm just not getting the audio output that I was expecting over over controller.
Like you're getting sound. Oh, over the controller specifically.
Yeah,
Out
so
out
like
the speakers, it's fine.
Out of the HDMI output to my TV, if I want to play on the sound bar, yes.
Are you having to turn the sound bar up extra loud versus other inputs, or is it just working normally there?
Actually, now I don't remember. Most of the time I'm gaming with headphones anyway, and I've been plugging into controllers. And there has been a little bit of variation. I tried different controllers because I thought, oh, you know what, this is probably a controller thing. And I was getting a little bit of variation based off controller. Like I think PS5 had it was a little bit louder, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't normal. I was literally cranking the option all the way up, not only on whatever headset I was using itself, but also inside the GameScope, or inside the big picture mode on Steam. Like it was all the way to 100%. So people were like, oh, you can go into the desktop mode, go into the audio settings, and there's a toggle to say, hey, allow the maximum volume to go past 100%. So I went in there, I saw that toggle, like everything was at 100%. So I hit that toggle, and depending on what the thing you controlled, like I think it capped out at 150%.
Yeah. And it threw you a scary message about destroying your speakers if you turn it up too high. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did something like this recently too, right?
Yeah, I did the same thing on the ROG Ally X, also with Bazite. It was a little quiet at maximum volume.
On the internal speakers or on
the internal speakers?
Okay.
And part of it is because the orientation, like it's a situation where I think Asus is doing a little bit of audio processing to like kind of counteract the fact that the speakers are a little bit off axis and not blasting directly towards your face. But there's a bunch of guides for this. Like one of the things you could do is install EasyFX and do some boosting and boost certain frequencies and reduce others and a bunch of nonsense. I didn't bother with that because it seemed fiddly and I didn't want to have to, like, the whole goal of these kind of machines for me is to make something I can just pick up and not have to think about too much.
And hey, defaults matter.
Defaults are good. But what I did do is boot into the desktop mode, turn the volume past the point where it was like, hey, you're going to blow out your speakers if you do this. And then I just don't turn it up above about 70 or 80% in the Steam Deck UI now. So what that did was bring up the level of the Steam Deck GameScope volume where you're in the Steam Deck 10-foot interface to the point that it's like the right level of loud for me now.
So, yes. Except for on my setup, and I'm surprised that it did do it for you, is that because I was worried. I was like, okay, well, I'm going to crank this thing up, 125, 150%, whatever. But I'm worried that if once you go back into GameScope mode, that it's going to reset. Yeah. It actually hold.
Yeah.
Like it held. Like I put it to 150%, and then I went in and, it was still cranked in SteamOS or not SteamOS. I keep using UI. GameScope. Whatever, the big picture mode. Excuse me. And I was like, okay, cool. So it holds when you go into that mode, but then the minute that I changed it went back down. Like I could only max out then back to 100%.
Oh,
and
I
would go back into then I went back into desktop mode, and once again it was back at 100%. And I was like, so it held until I tried to adjust it, and then it stopped. So I was like, okay, well, that's annoying. Is there a way I can work around it? Either way, even when I boosted it up, I loaded up a game just to hear how it was, and it was distorted. I could tell it was it's not like it was addressing more range, that it was already there and just allowing you to access the full range. It was actually maximizing the drive of the audio. Maybe you didn't notice it because you're on little speakers, but like in my headset, I was like, oh, okay, this is obviously just distorting it. So either way, that was not an option. Even if it held, like I was like, this isn't doing it. So I consulted our fine Discord, and somebody was like, oh yeah, I had that issue once on another distro. I can't remember what it was. Open up ALSA Mixer, so ALSA Mixer.
Another Linux sound something or other, I think is what it stands for.
Oh, really? Oh, I didn't think about that. That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, ALSA is is the old sound API for how Linux desktop. That may not be what it stands for, but anyway, Advanced Linux sound architecture. Sorry.
It's funny. I should be used to this by now, but like all these Linux things like are usually acronyms, but I don't think about that. Anyway, it's funny. And so I ran Also Mixer, and when I opened it, and it was already defaulted to headset 1. And I was like, okay, cool. Like you can, there's like different outputs, whatever.
On your controller, basically.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
And it was already 100%. And I was like, okay, well, that sucks. I thought I could noodle around in there. And so, like I was able to, what is it? And that was the default. So it was marked as headset 1 and default. And then there was a toggle, and I'm sorry, I don't have an image to show you, but essentially there was a toggle in the up that allowed you to see the other options. And so then, it's called like select sound card. It defaulted to the default, but then I changed it and I saw 2 faders. So essentially there was a headset and a headset 1. By default, all I saw was just headset 1, and that was 100%. And then I got this other... Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's the other way around. Headset was at 100 and headset 1 was at like 30-ish kind of thing. So it was set lower. I increased headset 1 to 100%. So both were 100%. And it did it.
Oh.
So then anytime I adjusted the audio in the big picture mode or by the controller or through the desktop
slider,
like slider kind of thing, all it was doing was affecting headset 1 and not headset.
So is this because it thought the wrong headset was your no?
I have no idea. Some people were talking about it in Discord, and a side note, somebody was like, oh, you might have to do a sudo alsactl to store the settings, which I actually did end up having to do because on reboot it didn't save it. But like I was just like, oh man, that sucks. There's 2 volume controls for what I'm trying to do here. One of them was shown, but the other one wasn't.
Wait,
and the other one was the one that was set to 30%.
Is this the DualSense?
Nope. This was
Scuff.
This was the Scuff kind of thing, but I should go back and try it with my other controllers. But I bet it's the same thing. Well, I bet for some reason it could be a dongle thing.
Well, or does the Scuff have a speaker in it like the DualSense? Because the DualSense has both the controller headset output, but then it also has a speaker that when you're playing games, like if you're playing Metal Gear or something, the game talks to you through the controller sometimes, which is really confusing if you have a headset on.
True.
And that could be why you see 2 different audio inputs. The other thing that's weird is I want to say this is another DualSense thing. I think the DualSense passes rumble information through as sound waves.
Oh yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, I was getting I was chatting with somebody playing Arc Raiders, and the controller was vibrating
going
when they would
crazy.
talk.
Yeah.
I don't know. For as an audio person, I guess the best analogy I can have is like not that there was a master fader that was down. It was more like a bus. So it was like, oh hey, here are all the things within the controller that is able to be controlled. We're letting you control like the main fader maybe individually, but the bus for the whole thing was not outputting at 100%. So either way, once again, this is one of those things where it's just like,
oh yeah.
I mean, once I know it now, I'm like, okay, I know how to fix it. But at the same time, I'm just like, guys, like, what the hell's going on here?
Have you looked at Jack yet?
What'd you call me?
Jack.
I don't know who
Jack is. Do you know Jack?
I don't know Jack.
So Jack is like the next... It's like the pro level audio interface for Linux. So
is it built in, or
you have to install it? But
install, okay.
It interfaces with like ALSA Mix, with ALSA and the other various sound APIs that are on Linux, and it lets you do things like expose, like when you open up OBS, if it's in pro audio mode, OBS will give you ins and outs for each of the inputs and outputs and the monitors and all of that stuff that you can then pipe. Like on my Behringer 16 port mixer, I can pipe a bus into a specific input on OBS and then the monitoring back out to a specific output and all sorts of crazy stuff. And it's really, really powerful, but it's also really weird because like some of the stuff, for example, Discord is a great example. Discord has like 3 audio outputs now because it has one for voice, one for soundboards, and one for video calls. And each of those has to be wired into the bright buses on the mixer, and or else you just don't hear anything when you get on. Oh. So it's like it's really good for some stuff and things that are written to handle it, like OBS or a DAW or something like that. It's really challenging for applications that use the older APIs and don't use the new stuff. So
I get it. And I mean, once again, this is because I'm trying to use this as a home theater PC, and it's like I just want it to work, right? No. Like I bet the Steam machine is not going to have this issue.
I don't think Jack is the right solution for your home theater PC for what it's worth.
But it's good to know.
Everything goes into one interface and comes out of another is exactly what you want for that.
Yeah. So like here's the other thing. As I've been talking about some of these issues I've had on Baked CD on my home theater PC, somebody hit me on Bluesky and was like, dude, why are you still struggling with Baked ZD? You should check out Nobara. I have no problems on Nobara. And I was like, no, come on. I love distro hopping, but like Baked ZD should be the thing, right? Like that should be the default gaming thing. Like I hear from all the people. I've used it on handhelds, whatever. And then I think I followed up with a question. I was like, yeah, but because they said it has a home theater PC like install specifically. And then I was like, yeah, but do they have a handheld? Or maybe I went and looked and I was like, oh crap, they have a handheld as well. So I was like, oh, okay. And as I was poking around about it, I was like, oh, Nobara is actually based off of Fedora, not Fedora Silverblue, which is
not the immutable one.
Yeah. The immutable one. And so I was like, oh, okay. I'm familiar with Fedora. I quickly looked it up and it's all the same DNF package manager. So like, I'm not going to accidentally run sudo DNF update when I shouldn't be. And I was surprised that they had a handheld version because like I think we were talking recently. I've been trying out the Cashy OS handheld version. I've been doing testing on that stuff, and I was like, all right, F it. Let's install another distro. Why not? And so I let's see where I'm gonna go back to my notes. So I had once I got the Nobara installer.
This is on Legion Go 2.
Legion Go 2. It was a super easy installation process. I really liked the install process on that one. Everything worked right out of the box, except for it had no built-in TDP control, and the thumbstick light didn't work.
That might be because I still think the lack of TDP control is because that hardware is relatively new.
No, because it shows up when I did the what was it, the
Decky letter
Cashy.
Oh, Cashy has it.
Yeah. So Cashy has it. Bazite has so handheld daemon. Well, no, Bazite has their own thing that they put in there, and it already had support from a couple months ago. And so I was like, okay, I've seen this before. The thumbstick lighting, whatever, I don't care. The TDP control thing, I knew I could do other options, which I'll get to in a second. The weirdest thing is that I did have to update in the big picture mode. It was like, oh, hey, you have an update, and I don't remember the update date. And so I was like, okay, cool. I'll install the update, reboot, restart kind of thing. And I was like, okay, cool. It says it's up to date. And then like 10 minutes later, it was like, oh, hey, you have an update. And I was like, that's okay, whatever. Apply the update, restart. Okay, let's keep moving on. And then 10 minutes later, it was like, hey, you have an update. And I was like, okay, something's wrong here. Like I continue to keep getting that message of like, oh, you have an update, and it just won't take. So
that's pretty funny.
That's annoying. Whatever.
Yeah. Did you fix it, or is it still going?
No. So I have no idea if that's a Steam thing, if that's a Nobara
Maybe you're starting
thing.
at like Steam 2003 and updating from there, one update at a time, just to get
because it's always
to go.
I can't. It's like always February 13th. I think is now what it's stuck on. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, I was like, whatever. Okay, that's a side thing. So I was like, okay, well, the real major thing and why I wanted to mess around with it, other than just kind of seeing how it was to use by default, Now I know by default I wouldn't use it.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, well, what about performance? I've been doing that whole big testing thing on like, okay, what is performance between the different distros? And so I shelled out to the desktop, and it had one of those cool Hello launchers. I like the distros that have that launcher. Like I know Cashy has one.
Cashy does a Cashy Hello. I think Arch does that too, but maybe not. But it's like, hey, here's some stuff you might want to do, like install Proton and get Snapper support turned on. And it's like pre-configured scripts with buttons attached to them to do kind of like the initial setup futzing.
Yeah, and it was, I mean, it's built for gaming. So it was like, oh, hey, here are the, I can't remember their wording, but they were like, oh, here are the first steps you want to do. And then there was optional steps, and I went through and did all those. And I was like, okay, cool. Everything should be updated. But unfortunately, it was still not showing TDP controls. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm going to install Handheld Daemon. So I looked up a tutorial on how to install that. First, you had to disable Input Plumber because they would have conflicted in terms of controls. I installed Handheld Daemon from GitHub, rebooted, enabled the TDP controls, and then went back into the full screen mode. Actually, I think I rebooted and it went back into the full screen mode. And yeah, Handheld Daemon, I was able to hit a double press and all the button mapping worked. I was able to hit it and bring up the extra controls. And when I would go to try to change the TDP controls, it kept flashing an error, and it said error cannot write to ACPI_call. It is required. And I Googled it and I was like, okay, I don't know what this is. And my first thought was, okay, maybe I just need to update Handheld Daemon. So if you go down in their little pop-out thing, there is an update kind of thing. And so I hit the update button and it said error while updating text file busy. And I think we had talked and you were like, oh, maybe there's some other updates running in the background, but I checked and there wasn't. So I was like,
fully reboot it, I assume?
Yes, after the install, yeah.
Do you have the ACPI call DKMS installed? The package?
I don't know.
That's a package that you need, I think.
I mean, I installed whatever was on Handheld Daemon's GitHub. Yeah. So I guess I don't remember whatever like prerequisites, but I guess I assumed it was part of the full package. So yeah. Yes.
I wonder if you need to set up a UDEV rule to allow you to make that kind of change without root. And I wonder if they don't have that in the tutorial, or if maybe, maybe you have to do that manually. I don't know. That's weird. That feels weird to me.
Yeah, I mean, either way, I was like, okay, I have other options. So I uninstalled it. I had to re-enable Input Plumber. So I did that, because all the buttons had worked before anyway. And then I installed Decky Loader, and then there was an installer for simple Decky TDP. So essentially is a real easy to use like overlay in Decky Loader. If people's never used Decky Loader, it essentially appears at the bottom of the list in the little
it just puts like
slide out
extra entries in the hardware side, the right side pop up, basically.
Yeah. So I was able to control TDP there just fine.
That's good.
And sure, it sucks that it's not built into the normal place that you could see it, but whatever. Like I was able to do it. I think I prefer Handheld Daemon's approach, which is what I like in Bake ZD as well, because then you also have control over the lighting and stuff like that. And so, but I was able to do my testing either way. Now I'm starting to see that there's literally no right way for performance, because there's so many different ways. Like TDP does not mean one thing on simple Decky TDP or Handheld Daemon or built into Steam Big Picture mode. That's almost a whole separate discussion I'm probably going to have on Expedition Handheld, which is the new podcast launching this week. Actually, as we post this, episode 0 will be posted and episode 1 will be posted tomorrow. So yeah, maybe I'll talk about over on the handheld stuff. I'm getting too much into handheld stuff here, but I
think they all have different profiles, right? Isn't that why they're all different? Like your Handheld Daemon versus your Decky Loader versus your built into Steam profiles will all be slightly different, I think.
Yes. Yeah. Because usually there's like a low power balanced and performance mode, but I'm not doing that. what I'm doing is going into whatever custom option they have, and I ran benchmarks in two different ways. One of them was maxed out all the way. One of them was manually setting it to 18 watts.
And did you control the fan speeds at the same time?
Well, some of them allow you to control fan speed, some of them don't.
Gotcha.
so no, I was not. I was mostly just limiting it to that. I mean, and it's not. We always talk about this with benchmarking. Like going into benchmarking, you need to know what you're benchmarking for, or like what you're actually testing. So part of me is testing to see, okay, how does each, or I went in thinking I was testing how does each distro handle power management, or how does each one perform, right? You lock down all the other variables, the game, the same Proton version, as much as you can, lock down each thing, so that then it's just, okay, I'm trying to see performance and like if there's any difference in performance. But really what I came out finding was the real thing I guess I've been benchmarking is the fact that TDP control does not always focus or show itself the same, which is really annoying, because I have my Excel sheet and I'm like, okay, everything from SteamOS to Nobara to Big ZD to Cache to Windows, they're all turning in different numbers on the same exact thing, because they're all different implementations of how it performance should be. So even though I'm picking what should be a thing that is a constant, you either have max performance or you have 18 watts. It is not turning in the same number. So it's kind of an interesting side note. Going down all this. I mean, at this point in time, because I've had this, like, this all started off as a question. Somebody was like, I don't remember the question. We don't have it.
It's in like last week's.
Maybe it was last week's episode, or maybe a couple weeks ago. But somebody was like, "Oh, hey, is Baked ZD like the default for handhelds? Should we be thinking of it that way?" And like I said, I'm going to talk about this with Russ on Expedition Handheld at some point too, because I think it's an interesting discussion. But as of right now, it is still my default. Like if
you'd rather do that than Windows.
I mean, it depends, but yes. For the most part, if I'm going to put Linux on something and it doesn't have native Steam support, I'm still going to default to Bazite. But like because of the shakeups and stuff like that, I've also just been curious. Like, oh, okay, Cache has a handheld mode now. Nobara has a handheld mode. Like, what if I put native SteamOS on here? And that's what got me thinking down that road. And each one of them have their own pitfalls, whether it's lack of controls or support, things like that. But yeah,
cool.
It's definitely a rabbit hole. It's been weird.
It's weird having that much configurability over these systems that are essentially tight little closed packages. Like in other contexts would be something you can't really touch a whole lot, right? Like they're I don't know. I'm glad that we have access to that stuff. I think it's been really interesting. I've been using the ROG Ally X for the last couple of weeks, and I haven't been playing anything super heavy on it. But I played stuff like I played that Diablo 2 remaster, and I played a couple of I played Cairn, which is an indie, pretty nice looking 3D indie rock climbing game. Yeah.
Wait, and you've been doing the Cache handheld?
I've been doing Cache handheld on it. I was going to put Nobara on it, but I ended up not having a lot of time this week because it's like my other job. It's really busy right now because we're in between DICE and GDC, which is when a lot of game development pitching and stuff happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's
once again, this is conversation that I think I will start transferring over to Expedition Handheld, because that's where, surprise, we're going to talk about handhelds.
Yeah.
But as it relates to somebody who is learning Linux, I will say it has been fun to at least, like, I'm really now more than ever starting to see the differences between the distros, right? Because I mean, like you always say, it's just they made different choices. Mm-hmm. Or what do you say? Like the
always be
like
testing,
like
is what I
no
say.
Well, yeah, that's what we say. But like a distro is just a
collection
of
choices. Yeah,
right?
That's it.
And like some of them are pretty small, but some of them are like, oh wow, I really liked that Nobara welcome screen. Like the thing that'll pop up and be like, hey, you know what? Let me handheld or handhold you, through the steps here, which is really cool. And to tell you the truth,
yeah,
I think I want to try Nobara on something else like a laptop
theater.
or a home theater PC.
Oh,
yeah,
perhaps.
Because once again, like it got me thinking. I was like, okay, well, maybe Nobara is a better home theater PC scenario, and because it is forked off of Fedora proper, like I already know more about.
You understand the back end stuff.
Yeah. Which once again, I know Baked ZD is a fork of a fork of Fedora, but it's definitely it's different in ways that are not what I'm used to. So
I think look, this is the end result here is that you should be able to get what you want, right? Like the thing that you want is out there. No, but I'm just saying the thing that you want is out there, and even if it's not shipping that way out of the box, you're going to be able to change it to be the thing that you want. If you want the hardware daemon instead of Decky loader, then you can make that change yourself, and that's that's the thing. That's what we're here for, right? Is figuring out how to make that the thing that you want it to be.
And it kind of goes back and proves what everyone was saying was like, hey, you shouldn't be distro hopping so much. You should get to know one distro, and now that is starting to feed back because I'm like, oh, okay, well, the home theater PC, if I can have something that's even more towards Fedora, which I'm used to, maybe whatever downfalls that has are easier for me to handle versus Bezite, which has its own way to do specific things.
I mean, it's why Nobara is probably a better choice for you than like Endeavor or Manjaro or something like that that's based on Arch, and you're going to have to learn how to use Pacman or Paru or one of the other package managers.
Yeah.
It's been an eventful week or two.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah. We've been busy with stuff. So yeah, homework. Let's get to homework. I
want to get my printer working at home. I don't think it should be
You have
as
a printer
difficult.
at home.
I have a kid that does classes at home, so I print stuff a lot.
Who has printers anymore, man?
Old people, mostly.
Actually, also, I thought you solved the printer problem at work.
I got the printer working at work. I did not get the print. That was also I got the printer working at work on probably 3 laptops ago. So I would bet that the printer does not work on the current laptop. I haven't tried it in a while. We haven't had any benchmark things to do lately, so I haven't had to print anything. So yeah, I want to get the printer working. It means involving myself with cups again, which seems grim, but I guess let's go. Let's see. I've gotten all the Stream Deck stuff working really well now, and feel pretty good about it. I'm running everything off of the main machine and just remoting into OBS and the mixer and stuff like that on other machines.
Awesome.
But that's feeling pretty good. I think it's called Open Deck, is janky but works well enough that I'm willing to stick with it versus something like Bitfocus Companion or something like that's more designed for pro users. What else? I'm going to put the everlasting pin in, hey, I got to figure out why Hibernate isn't working on this framework laptop. I literally think that the problem is that my swap space is like 100 megs too small for the RAM image. And I'm realistically, the other thing it could be is the swap space is set up as a Btrfs subvolume instead of as its own partition. So I may have to shrink the main Btrfs partition enough that it's like it has 32 gigs of space for a standard whatever swapfs swap file that lives in the system, and then maybe hibernation will just turn on automatically. But like, this feels like a place filled with extreme peril, because if I mess this up, it's just going to jack up the entire laptop, and the snapshots won't save me. So yeah.
Well, what if there's a way to test that? What if you take out one of the SODIMMs? Because then you'll only have 16 gigs, and you'll know if that's the limiting factor.
Oh, right, because it's a framework laptop, and the RAM's not soldered on the motherboard.
Nope. And I believe that laptop has 2 SODIMMs installed.
I would think so. I can look and see.
Yeah. Either way, then you'll be down to 16, and then you'll know if the space limitation is the issue, right?
Yeah, that's a good call. The nice thing about this is that like the amount of RAM I use on the day-to-day is really low until I start opening a bunch of different windows and games and stuff. Like I have a bazillion windows open right now, and I'm running like 14 gigs of RAM usage on the desktop with 64. So like in this other time of our RAM discontent, it's like I feel reasonably insulated. Even like I think I could run the Stream Machine on a 16 gig kit if I wanted to, probably.
Well, and especially on the laptop too. I bet a single SODIMM 16 gig is going to be fine. Yeah, dual channel, you're probably not going to get hit.
Yeah. Okay, so that pulling out a SODIMM is a good call to see if Hibernate flips on. And then I want to get the Resolve working. I got to figure out, and I think that's probably going to be my big task for this week, which won't be sexy or fun. But
that was the other thing with Nobara, which I think Bazite had this as well, but it was one of the things that was pre-installed.
I can
not pre-installed, but the dependencies or something like that. There was
Cashy has a package for it, but it still is crashy. I don't know why it's crashing.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, yeah. I do think that is kind of interesting where some distros are like, hey, listen, if you want to be a gaming distro or like for gaming workloads, it seems like a lot of them then will also have some other applications like DaVinci in there. Like they assume if you're a gamer that you also want to edit those games or those clips or whatever. So
I mean, I think you think about it, it's high power PC, right? So like you have a fast computer and you're going to do the same stuff. I think anyway. So yeah, that's it for me. That's my homework, I think, this week.
Okay. I want to collect some feedback if anyone has an idea on how to get an old version of Photoshop safely. No, don't send me your BitTorrent link.
Hashtag no piracy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Hashtag maybe piracy. Hashtag
we'll
no
see.
piracy. I mean, don't listen to me if you're listening.
Yeah. Nope.
Yeah. No, we don't want pirated. Like this is the problem, right? Is how do you get an old version? Actually, the answer to this is probably that you have an old version of like CS6 sitting on a shelf somewhere at the office.
Yeah, we talked about that too. I don't know. We've downsized a lot enough that we've thrown away a lot of stuff. So I got to ask Luis.
I've been in the mines. I've seen what's in there. I guarantee you. Like it may be older than you want to go back, but I guarantee you there's something in there.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, so I'm gonna try I want to try the PlayStation controller or other controllers on my home theater PC to see if I'm gonna have to do that same thing where it has a hidden slider that's controlling it separately. My guess is the answer is yes, because like I said, I plugged in. I think it was 3 different controllers: the SCUF, the Xbox Elite, and then the PlayStation 5 Special Elite one as well. And all of them had really low volume, so whether wired or dongle. So I feel like all of them are going to have that issue as well. But I should double check. And then after I'm done with that, I'm going to wipe and put Nobara on that home theater PC.
Perfect.
I am curious. I mean, I am curious about that.
The nice thing about the home theater PC as a place that you're only doing game stuff is that it's really low lift for a reinstall, because you're just reinstalling, reconnecting Steam, like setting up your audio and video stuff, and then you download your games probably from the machine in the other room, and then it pulls the save files and all that stuff automatically. So your risk of losing something is really, really low, which is nice.
I mean, that's how I operate almost every machine. Mm-hmm. Like I try to operate that. Like if any of my machines went down for some catastrophic reason, I dropped it, it got stolen, it just pooped the bed. Like that, what I actually lose is not much, like at all. So other than time to reset something up. Yeah. But yeah, for the home theater PC, it's just gaming, so that one's pretty easy. Cool. So anyway, maybe I'll go back kicking and screaming to Baked ZD for the home theater. But yeah. Anyway,
I guess that's it for us this week. Huh?
Yeah. Check back next week for your fix of Linux talk here on Dual Boot Diaries. If you want to watch us, look at our pretty faces right here on video. You can go over to YouTube and search for the Full Nerd Network. Mm-hmm. We have our video version up there that we push live every Friday at noon. It's like live to tape. We record it and then we push it as a premiere. Anyway, I will say that now that Expedition Handheld is launching, which is another podcast on the Full Nerd Network that you should subscribe for, alongside the Full Nerd podcast. We're a little bit of a scheduling change, and also like Will's changing. We'll talk about Will changing his workload here. But we're gonna start posting these on Thursday. I don't. Maybe we start it next week.
This show?
I don't know.
This show right here?
This show, Dual Boot Diaries
is going to move
instead
from
of Friday
to Thursday?
It's going to be to Thursday, yeah, because then we'll have the Full Nerd on Tuesday, Dual Boot Diaries Thursday, and Expedition Handheld Saturday.
Oh,
that's the plan.
Wait,
I guess it makes
Friday
sense.
slot. Is that what it's happening?
He did,
here?
yeah. It's a fight between you and Russ.
Made an enemy today.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome.
Not just that, but we're also recording this podcast to Tuesday, and rather than having like the information sit for a couple extra days and be old, I think it just makes sense.
Get that hot Linux talk out faster.
Yeah.
Sooner.
So let us know how angry you are about the fact that we're, going to release this on Thursday instead of a Tuesday.
It's one day earlier for you. It's a good thing. People should be happy.
Yeah, there you go.
You can still listen to it on Friday if you want. We're not going to tell you when you listen to it, is the thing.
Actually, that's a good point.
Anytime you like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, October, as long as you listen to it, like realistically, as long as you download it, we don't care. Like just get it in your feeds.
There you go.
Hit that play button on YouTube. Let it rip. You can walk away. You can sit there and you can rewind it a few times. We're good with whatever. We just want you out there enjoying the hot Linux action.
I think you should put it on speakers and lull your baby to sleep. Like, if you need your baby to sleep and you just want to put something on instead of Enya or forest sounds, then put this podcast on.
I gotta say, I had a dad moment the other day where my daughter saw BlueBubbles on my laptop. She's like, "Wait, how do you have iMessage open on your laptop?" Because she's a Windows laptop user too, but also has an iPhone. And I was like, look, I've done some real nonsense here. Okay, there's some real business happening. But
can you have multiple users on it?
I think I'd have to run a VM inside the Mac Mini in order to
have two Mac Minis.
Or have two Mac Minis, which I'm not. Let me talk to Luis and see how many Mac Minis you all have there. But yeah, no, that's she was impressed. Like I did something nerdy and weird, and my kid was impressed instead of weirded out, which is a real milestone. Yeah.
Yeah. Great. That's awesome.
She was like,
Perfect.
I want that. Give me that. Why do I not have that? And I was like, yeah, that's right. Dad did something cool. Anyway.
Love it. Good job, Dad.
Yeah.
All right. And good job us. We did it. We made a podcast 26 episodes in. We are still going. Yeah, that's crazy. Wait, is it?
52 weeks in a year.
Oh,
26
you're right.
is half of them.
I'm not good at numbers. Yeah. Wow, 6 months later.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, who knows? Maybe we'll go on for another 6 months.
Yeah.
We'll never know.
Well, we will.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
But either way, subscribe, share it around with everybody. I appreciate you all, and I appreciate you as well.
I appreciate you too, Adam.
Thank you.
Tell your friends who hate Windows to check us out. They'll like it. They can start at the beginning. They can come along on this magical journey with us.
Yeah, it's actually been fun. People have been hopping in Discord and being like, "Oh, hey, I've been picking it up at episode 0, and I've either been going on this journey as well, or I switched over a couple years ago." But either way, it is fun to not have like a podcast that is tied to specific events. Mm-hmm. I mean, some of them are topic relevant, but for the most part, it's not a weekly news show. So it has actually been fun to structure it this way.
Yeah.
So
we'll be back
anyway,
next week.
yeah. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.